Also joining us is PKD Nambiar. Mr. Nambiar is a political analyst.
Well, first and foremost, Barka, that today's speech of the Prime Minister in the Lok Sabha has proved that he's definitely one of the best ever communicator we ever had. So I think it has got everything. So since we are discussing about his speech, I think he has proved once again that he's one of the finest communicator. Now, coming to the topic of Adani and why should the Prime Minister talk about it, the few fundamental questions. When a PVC exporting or a manufacturing company, Adani, in the 1988 and 91, were they, when they were being given the Mudra port as an opportunity to build the first private port in India, was he having an experience of making a port in the past? Definitely no. When the GVK and GMR, when they were given the opportunity to build both Mumbai and Delhi airports, have they built any kind of an airport in the past before that? Definitely no. How a business entity functions, because I am an entrepreneur and I understand that there are times in an organization they may not have that technical knowledge or in the past experience. What they do, they
Sorry, Mr. Nambiar, you've frozen up.
Rather than Can you hear me? So I think the question when the Congress asks, they need to ask that question to themselves. Is it that the practice which they have started is being followed? One. Number two, the Mumbai airport has not been given it to by Narendra Modi has not given the Mumbai airport to Adani because it has been acquired by them from the GVK. And most important thing, and I expect Gurcharanji and such a senior person, with huge respect. Sir, let me ask you this. Any capital intensive project like this, in a country like India, when even a bid is opened, you will find hardly any large Indian corporates or the international companies are ready to come in. If a company, whether it is, I'm not talking about their past, present or anything, if a company which is strategically coming in and taking up such large project, not only in India, but also across the world, you will be finding that we should rather support it. Now, of course, I am not saying that if they have done anything which is irregular activity, there are agencies in the country, they should look at it. There is no doubt. But imagine that there are airports which they wanted to almost every bit. For an example, I'll just tell you, Barka, but just to quickly give you into the perspective, because we generally just keep talking about that, yeah, Prime Minister should answer. Vizhinjam Port is in Trivandrum, Shashi Tharoor's place. It is, you will be surprised, it is a very, very strategic port for India. Very, very strategic port for India. Who had given that port handed over to Adani? Is it Narendra Modi? Both the UDF government, that is the Umman Chandy government, and even just few months ago, just 3 months ago, there was a big crisis there. Even then, the left chief minister was just put up
and those are Mr. Nambiar.
I'm a little amazed. I'm a little amazed that many of us are known to the economics very well, but still you say that a capital expenditure and infrastructure businesses investment anywhere in the world, either done, because everybody knows that if you put a $1 billion or a $5 billion, you will only get that money back after maybe 20 years, 30 years, or it is always a long term. So it is very, very challenging for any country in the world. I challenge you, even in the US or in Qatar or any other country. You will either the government of India.
With your permission, I must.
Can I finish my statement?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, please complete your point.
I'm only saying that I think capital incentive, I'm only saying capital intensive infrastructure project, there are very limited companies will come in because they will have to go through a debt route, which is also very high level of debt route to come in. And if Adani as a company had taken that as on themselves to do that dynamism, to do that business, we should appreciate.
I'm sorry, Adani is not the only game in town. I think that is.
Okay, can I
airport? For an example, we were talking about the 6 airports.
What are you talking about?
No, 6 airports. No, 1 second. 6 airports. 6 airports. I'll give you one. I understand very quickly, a very quick information, because the only thing is that one of the narrative is that the Adani group has gone very big in such a massive way during this regime, which is absolutely untrue. Anybody whomsoever has got the basic knowledge will say that from 24 rupees, the share value in the 90s, during the Congress regime, 1,972% was the growth of Adani. From there, the last 8 years of Adani's growth is 700 plus 750 odd percentage. So let's not just blanketly blame that he has grown too big. Second part is that I'm not a perception manager for Adani. But one thing I understand this much: every business, I would say most of the business which Adani is in, these are regulated businesses. Whether it is energy, whether it is ports, whether it is airports, all of them. Now coming to the last part, why I'm just little curious to give an answer to Mr. Saws and is airports. You remember that the Trivandrum airport was also a part of the 6 airports given it to Adani. There was an offer given it to the Sial, that is Cochin International Airport, which was the first private airport given to any party. That was a role model. They were even given to an option that the first opportunity to refuse, and even if it is 30 rupees more if they could, even then the work will go to them. But they could not. If they have not been given an opportunity, they were not able to match the price what Adani has quoted. So when you get somebody a merit, how can you
I'm sure Salman Soz will respond.
It is Adani needs to come clean when it comes to the corporate governance. There is no doubt. And there is no doubt, and I think Gurcharanji made a very important point that corporate governance is very, very critical. Second part is that whether Adani had grown, whether Adani is growing, Adani is not India, India is not Adani. We only need to work on things like if you have a solid proof in parliament when we discuss and put allegations, clear way you should have the documentary proof to say that yes, you have favored this Adani like this, you have done this in this level. As I said, Adani as a businessman, he is the loser. And secondly, most important part is that you have not even understood that LIC is a gainer in this whole game. LIC, whatever amount he has invested and versus whatever right now, SBI clearly says that one of their finest debt exposure is Adani because everything is very, very secured. वो उधर का airport या port लेकर कहीं उठा के लेके जाने वाला नहीं है. Adani is not a tech bubble. Adani is into the business of pure infrastructure projects which you and me use, and I think putting all of this into the politicizing an independent business entity is not at all the right thing.
Sorry.
And the most important thing, one 10 second, I'll tell you, the most important part is that if you really look at this last 15 days of this drama, I compliment the government. The market was falling. The Adani's 100 billion, the valuation is going down. But the government did not even interfere even for a second. And that is precisely what as a free market is all about. If the market is functioning on its own independently, I think we must compliment the government.
Let me get Madhava to respond to that briefly.